Hello and welcome to today's edition of Cracking the Cryptic. And as the snow teems down outside my window, I thought I would take this opportunity where I basically can't go outside and do the things I was meant to do today to solve a puzzle that is supposed to be very brilliant and potentially very difficult. It's called Galactic Union and it's by Tacosian. And now, what can I tell you about this puzzle? Well, there's a couple of things. I'm going to show you first a snip of some comments that have been written about this. It has 5 stars out of 5 for difficulty, a 100% approval rating. Cam, this puzzle was very difficult, but I'm having even more trouble putting into words just how awesome it was to solve. I don't know how you did this. Absolute magic. And people are going pure magic, quite stunning. Jesper Josephson, and basically if Jesper Josephson comments positively on your puzzle, that is about as good a compliment as you can get for a puzzle. He's always quite somewhat laconic, very nice, thanks, but to earn any sort of praise is hard won. So this is what we're going to have a look at in a moment or two. In fact, I don't have much news for you today. So what could I? Well, I could ask you. If you're kind and you enjoy the channel, please do consider subscribing. It's completely free to subscribe to channels on YouTube. All it means is that you'll get recommended our videos when we release new videos. So it's sort of a proxy for how watched the channel is. And Mark and I still harbour this small, it's a tiny light of an ambition. You know, if you looked into a very dark sky, it would be a star that you could just about make out, that one day this little old Sudoku channel might get 1 million subscribers. And to do that, any help would be really appreciated. Anyway, that's my humble beg. Not humble brag, humble beg. And with that, let's have a look at Galactic Union in what could be a very long video. And I've got, where is it? I've got an example as well. Here we go, example. So maybe we'll read the rules and look at the example, and that will explain all. So we have to divide the grid into regions, each consisting of 9 orthogonally connected cells. Each row, column, and region must contain the digits 1 to 9 once each. So in the example, it's 1 to 7 each by the looks of things. It's a slightly smaller grid. One region border is given between row 4, column 7. Oh, and row 5, column 7. Yes, it is indeed. There is a region border. Okay, so let's just stop there and make sure everybody understands what a region of 9 orthogonally connected cells would look like. It does not look like this. And that is because, although there are 9 cells highlighted in green here, this one is not orthogonally connected to the rest of its family. Orthogonally connected means shares an edge with. It doesn't mean touches at a point, which these two do. They have to be sharing an edge. So this would be one potential 9-cell region in the puzzle. Now, with that, let's go on to the next bit of the rules. Let's go back to the example. So it says the dots in the grid are the centers of 180-degree rotationally symmetric galaxies, which are non-overlapping sets of orthogonally connected digits. Each half of a galaxy forms a killer cage summing to the number given on its side of the dot. All cells within a cage must belong to the same region, and the 2 cages formed by a single galaxy must belong to different regions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the example and try and understand each sentence of this paragraph. There's a lot of information in this paragraph. I want to try and sort of internalize it before I attempt the puzzle. So the dots in the grid are the centers of 180-degree rotationally symmetrical galaxies. Okay, so I can see that's very true in the sense that if you look at every coloured region, so if you look at the purple region, it is rotationally symmetrical around 180 degrees around the dot in its centre. The green is 180 degrees rotationally symmetrical. So I understand that, okay. Each half of a galaxy forms a killer cage, summing to the number given on its side of the dot. So let's look at the purple. I see. So oh yeah, okay, so that makes sense. So we've got 12 on the left-hand side. 2 plus 3 plus 7 is 12, and we've got 12 on the right. 4 plus 1 plus 7. Let's just try another one. 25. 18. Yes, that 18 plus 4 plus 3 is 25. So that seems very clear. All cells within a cage must belong to the same region. Right, so what that's saying is that when we take half our galaxy, so let's look at the 16 region where the cursor's moving, that half of the galaxy, which adds up to 16, must all be in the same region of the puzzle. So that in this example puzzle, that killer cage is all within one 7-cell region. And I guess that's why, or it might be why, the instructions don't say that the killer cage can't have repeated digits, because it obviously can't have repeated digits, given it sits entirely within one region of the puzzle, and each region contains the digits 1 to 9, or in this case 1 to 7, once each. Now, the two cages formed by a single galaxy must belong to different regions. Right, so what that's saying is that although effectively we could divide, each dot forms a region border, doesn't it? That's what that's saying. And you can see that that's true. If we look at each dot in the example puzzle, in the solution to the example puzzle, it is differentiated, or there's a hard barrier, there's a black line cutting it. Now in this, so the black lines have not been included in the real puzzle, but basically the rules are saying we could include a black line. So do have a go at this. The way to play is to click the link under the video. I think this might be a debut on the channel for Tacosian. Heck of a debut, 100% puzzle, 100% 5-star puzzle. The way to play, did I just say, is to click the link under the video, but now I get to play. Let's get cracking. Now let's immediately get the pen tool out, which is on orange. I don't want it on orange, I want it on black, because I want to delineate between these borders, because all of those are actual region borders, aren't they? Now, what do we do next? We get two given digits today in very odd places. Okay, so we've got to find balance, haven't we? What I was just thinking then is a 28 killer cage must be at least 4 cells, because 3 cells can only add up to 24 if they were 7, 8 and 9. Now, whatever we build on the bottom side of this dot here, we're going to have its reflection on the top side of its dot, which is going to be in a killer cage that adds to 16. So, actually that's not very helpful. So that's telling us that 28 is a maximum of 5 cells. It can't be a 6-cell 28 cage, because if it was a 6-cell 28 cage, there would be a 6-cell 16 cage, and you can't make 16 in 6 cells, because the triangular number for 6 is 21. 6 plus 5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1 is 21. It is definitely not 16. 2 28s there. This that's not very useful actually. Well, yeah, this one has the most sort of disparate values. Let me look at the rules again. Sometimes when you're stuck, it's worth revisiting the rules, just in case there's some aspect of this that hasn't settled in yet. So the dots are the centers of galaxies. The cages live in one region each. So it doesn't say that every cell in the grid is part of a galaxy. In fact, well, there's a very simple reason that every cell in the grid is not part of a galaxy I've just thought of. And that's that there are 81 cells in this grid, because it's a 9 by 9 grid. Yet each galaxy must have an even, or each galaxy must have an even number of cells, mustn't it? Because even if there was an odd number of cells on the left-hand side of this galaxy, once you include the reflection, it's going to add up to an even number. So each dot caters overall for an even number of cells. So it's axiomatically true to say that not every cell in this grid can possibly be in a galaxy. Now, assigned to the number given on its side of the dot, all cells within a cage must belong to the same region. So, my next thought is wondering whether we've got a lot of big regions here, haven't we? So, is it something to do with the fact that we can't combine all of these? For example, this is a 20 hour, that could join to a 17. I mean, the 28 could only join to the 17 or the 16. All the others are too big, I think. Sorry, and that's that. I'm sort of eliding over a point there, which is I'm making use of the secret. Now, the secret is something I only tell my very favourite people. But if you're still watching this video, of course you're one of my favourite people, and of course I'm going to share the secret. Now, the secret is to think about a 9-cell region. Once we've found a 9-cell region in this puzzle, let's say this was a 9-cell region. So ignore the killer cage implications. We're just going to say that somehow, some way, that is a 9-cell region in this puzzle. What would the digits in this 9-cell region sum to? And we can work that out because we know that this 9-cell region can't have a repeated digit. So it's got all of the digits from 1 to 9 once each. Now the digits 1 to 9 sum to 45. Don't tell anybody, that's the secret. So what that means is, if I want to put... Well, here's a point then that's very straightforward. This 30 cage, wherever it lives, whatever its properties are, it is not capable of joining any other galaxy cage in this puzzle. Because it would have to join a cage that had a maximum size of 15. Because otherwise, let's say it joined with this one, that would be 53's worth of digits. Which is more than the digits 1 to 9 add up to. So there would necessarily be a repeated digit in the region, and that's not going to work. So what that means is that stands on its own, basically. Now the 25... Yeah, see, the 25 could join to the 16. Let's pick the very biggest ones. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now 20. There's a 29. I didn't see the 29. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 2 26s. Yeah, okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to count the number. I'm going to ignore those two for a moment, and I'm going to count the rest of them. Because the rest of them really, those two could join together. Bobbins. I was about to say the rest of them can't join with anything else. Okay, I'm going to make that one green as well. Because if I'm not mistaken, and I might be, I don't think any of these remaining cages can join with each other. So of the cages now that I'm going to highlight, all of those cages, they cannot join with another blue cage. None of them can. They would create more than a 45 region. So these are... Oh, that's it, right. That's fascinating. That is absolutely beautiful. There are 9. That's it. There are 9 blue cells. So these are the 9 regions of the puzzle. And... Yes. Oh, this is gorgeous. Yes. Okay. So we can go further than that. So each blue cell represents a different region of the puzzle. But think about the green cells now. These have to belong to a region, so we have to marry up the green cells into one of these blue regions. Now what's this one joining? 22. The only thing it could join with is something that has a value, one of these cages that has a value of 23 or lower, because the overall size of the cage can't exceed 45. Which one of these has a value of 45 or lower, only this one. So that cage is in the same region as this cage. And okay, this is fascinating. Right, so am I going to do... I'm going to leave the blues and greens alone. I'm going to change these two, because these two are in their own region. These two have to be made to join together. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right, and the interesting thing about that is that the route that we take to create this 9-cell cage that must join 23 to 22, it must be a 9-cell cage, because these two numbers add up to 45, which is all the numbers we could possibly include in a cage. So all 9 numbers are included within these two cages. And we have to go efficiently. So we could do something like this. That would be fine. But what we can't do is sort of deviate. So to get from here to here, each step must either be a southerly step or an easterly step. It must be one of those two things. We cannot sort of take a circuitous route, because the overall size of the cage will be beyond 9 cells then, or the overall size of the region will be beyond 9 cells. So we have to go there, and we have to go there. That is absolutely forced. Now, no. Well, okay, and now I'm going to add to that. This is, by the way, this is absolutely fascinating. This 29 cage, that must be at least 4 cells, mustn't it? So the purple 23 cage is at least 4 cells. Now the 26 here is at least 4 cells. So the 22 here is at least 4 cells. So this digit, or this cell here, must be part of this region. How are we going to start to do this then? So we're going to have to somehow record galaxy growth, as well as the fact that I want these purples to join up together. So perhaps what we've got to do is to use, let's use different colour. We'll use purple pen tools. So those two are in the same. This is part of a galaxy, so that's part of a galaxy on the other side of the dot. That's part of a galaxy, so that's part of a galaxy. Actually, we could join those up, just to make it very clear that is how we're, that it's rotational, or the point around which it is rotating. So there's going to be some cell in the middle that's going to make one of these galaxies, either this one or this one, a 5-celler. Right. Okay, alright, I'm going to now claim this one doesn't go here, because remembering my little rule, which is that I have to go either southwards or eastwards with each step. If I do go here, because I've got to get here in 9, I've then got to descend down there. So those would have to be my next 2 moves, and that's going to break this. Because how do I can't make a 28 galaxy. How would I do that? I'm going to have to go somewhere over here, and that's going to cause a reflection somewhere over here where this green can't go. I mean, that 28 is at least 4 cells, and we can't force this to go on we can't force this to go back west, because it's going to have to go with alacrity. So in fact, probably that's purple as well, isn't it? Yes, it is. That makes it even starker. That makes it even worse. So this 28, which is at least 4 cells, you can now see it's going to have to take a cell to the east of column 6. And once it does, it's the reflection of that cell, which is in this galaxy, is interfering with our purple line. So that's actually fairly clear. You can't go. So this, right, we're going to have to put that line in as a barrier. In fact, we can do a lot of barrierage here, because careful, Simon. I was about to try and make this and this rotationally symmetrical, but that's not right, is it? So I was about to say that because this next step of the 23 must be to here, that the next step of this is to here, but that's not right. Well, not necessarily right. Okay, but the next step of this one is to there, because it can't go to here, which allows us to put in another region boundary there. And this step must be that, mustn't it? So the next equivalent step for this 29 region is that. So, okay, so what we'll do is we'll give this one its own colour. We'll make that yellow. So that's sort of growing upwards. It's the reflection of this. We still haven't reached the minimum total for this one, which is 4. So can we go here? Aren't we going to get the same problem? It's going to be the same problem. If I go east here, I'm going to have to go south 3 cells, and I'm going to get the same problem there. So I've got to go down again. Right, that's beautiful. That's going to be great, because that's forcing this, which forces this, which forces this. We can never go west, so we can put in a black line here. Now, I wonder if it's the same point. If I now go east and then south like that, haven't I got the same problem with the 28? I can go down one, and then this could be in the 16. But then I have to go again. I have to take an east. Oh, I've got east available now. Botheration. Oh no, but this doesn't work. This still doesn't work, because the 28 is at least 4 cells. So what's the closest packing I can do for this 28? Well, I could take that one, I could take this one, but I'm going to have to take that one as well. That's why this given barrier's in here. This one here, which was given at the start. Yeah, it won't let me delete it. That's actually in the puzzle, and I think it's here in order to force us to acknowledge that if this 28, if this was here, this 28 would have to grow to there, and then this 16 would have to take one of these 2 cells. Which one is that one, isn't it? Which it can't do. So we still can't go. We still can't go east at this point. So we have to do this, and then this. But this is more tricky, because we don't know that this cell... Well, I was about to say, we don't know that this cell is in this one's galaxy rather than this one's galaxy, but actually we do. And that is because if this cell, which is definitely in the purple region, if this cell belonged to this galaxy, the reflection of this cell around this point is off the grid. So that cannot be true, can it? So actually what we've now got is that comes down there, which means that goes up there, which means we get a yellow extension at the top. Now, we know that this is going to have to close now somehow relatively efficiently. So it's either going down to here and then across. Oh, yeah, but it's the same point. Sorry, it's exactly the same point. We can't have this one picking up digits in column 4, because the rotation around column 4 around this dot is off the grid. So the next step must be here. And then we still don't know quite what's going on. Well, we probably do if I think about it, but that's okay. But this is still great, because we can do that and that for sure. And the next one is either here or here to connect it all up. And oh, I tell you what we could do as well. This one, I won't make that blue anymore. I'll make this. I want to make it grey for some reason. That feels lovely. So this is grey. This is grey. And that one is grey. Now, well, hang on. Right, okay, I'm going to come back to this 28 thing, which is doing absolutely amazing lifting here. If this is purple, how does this 28 get built? And the only thing we have to note is it's at least 4 cells, so it's got to pick these 2 cells up, so it's got to pick that cell up. But if it picks that cell up, the rotation of the 16 cage is there, which it can't have, so it's not allowed to do that. So that's most certainly not purple. In fact, I'm absolutely sure that this must belong to the 28 cage, but let's deal with that in a moment. So this is the complete structure of the purple cage. We've actually built a whole region, which is glorious, and we can show the rotation of this one. So we need to have a sort of an L tetromino. That's got to be a grey cell. Now we're going to run into trouble, aren't we? Because we can't... what I wanted to do was to start drawing boundaries around this 26, because that is a galaxy. But that's not right. The overall grey area, we don't know where that lives. And in fact, we know... Oh, maybe it could join the 16. I'm not actually sure that's true, but it might be able to. Okay, I think I'm going to take the lower hanging fruit. I'm going to think about this 28. Now, if this 28, which is at least 4 cells, well, it can never take that. Oh, I see it. But if it takes that one, this one needs to breach this border, which it's not allowed to do. Yeah, okay. So I think that has to be that shape. I don't think it has any choice. It can't take that. We can't apply that 28 to this square, because the rotation would mean that we'd have to do that, which breaks this given boundary. So this 28 is this shape. Now we'll stop this being blue then. We'll make this something else. We'll make this... what should we choose? Orange? It's quite nice where that's sitting. So that's orange, and it can't have this cell. Because if orange had that cell as part of its galaxy, again, the rotation is in the wrong place for the 16. So the 16 is that shape. I might as well make it green, actually. I'll change the colour of that one. And that's beautiful. So now, right, so now what we could do is this. That is a galaxy. That is a galaxy. We can sort of, because the 28 is bounded on its west side, we can draw that. Well, yes, we can. And the 28 has only got 4 cells in its region so far, so it has to grow a bit more. That's going to be part of the orange region. Now, what's that part of? That's either part of the 30. Well, it's either part of the 30 cage, it's part of the 30 region, or it's part of the 16 region. It's one of those things. That 30 is quite an interesting number now. I know. Never talk to me at parties. Never ends well. I will tell you all sorts of things I think are interesting, and you will probably go to sleep. There's not enough room there for 9 cells of the 30's region. So whatever region that this 30 cage is part of, it can't fit there. It can't join to a 29 region, because you can't have a region that's 59 large. So this one's region, and this is a new region that we've not talked about in the puzzle, has to sort of escape over the top here. So we should give this one its own colour. We'll make this one red. I've not used red yet. So red is coming over the top here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's coming at least to there. Now the 25, therefore, has to go there. And this is a new galaxy, isn't it? That's a part of a galaxy. So that galaxy goes that way, which means that's red. But that's not... Yeah, that cell there is not part of the red galaxy. Because if it was, the rotation in the blue galaxy's frame would be here into the green galaxy, which is not allowed. Ah, no, it might... No. Ah, hang on. Here's something I've not thought about. Is it possible that the blue galaxy and the green galaxy are in the same region? Well, the answer to that is it might be, but even if it was true, I still cannot take this cell into this 30 galaxy, because the rotation would mean that this galaxy would overlap with this galaxy, and I definitely remembered reading that that couldn't happen. Yeah, it says non-overlapping sets of orthogonally connected cells, so I don't think... Right, so what we could do that, look, for what that's worth, which might not be very much. Oh, I see. No, all right. So now I'm going to claim this is part of the green galaxy. Because I was just thinking, what galaxy, and remember the 16 galaxy has to join one of the great big galaxies, one of our original blue galaxy set, because there were 9 blue galaxy sets. Now, this one, the green galaxy, is not allowed to join the orange galaxy, which would have been a lovely place for it to join, because they would only have added up to 44. But it's not allowed to, because we know that this is a region border division, either side of this dot. So it could, at first blush, try and join the 26 galaxy, but I don't think it can, because it's not got enough space. It would be larger than 9 cells, and it would also pen in a very tiny galaxy. This needs to be 9 cells once it's reached full maturity. So I think we have to join the 16 galaxy then only to the 25 galaxy. It's the only other galaxy it can access. So that's not blue, that's going to turn green. So maybe I need to change the colour of the line then, just so that we don't misunderstand one another. So we get that profile. Now if this was in the 30 galaxy, that doesn't work, because you can't, so what I'm saying is if that's in the 30, the equivalent there is that, but this cell can't be green, so that can't be right. So what I'm not saying that this isn't red. This could be red, but I'm saying it's not in the galaxy that adds up to 30. So we need to take that out, don't we? And we can draw a black line there. That's a legitimate black line. We can draw a black line there. That's a legitimate black line. Now, what does that mean? Haven't got a clue. The clock is striking 5. It's got dark, so I can't see whether it's still snowing. Come on, concentrate. What does all this mean? I don't know, really. I've got 25 is at least 4 cells. Oh, right, here's a point. 25 is at least 4 cells, because 7, 8 and 9 are the biggest 3-cell numbers, and they only add up to 24. But this can't be 5 cells large, because if it was 5 cells large, green would be completed by a 25 and a 16 cage, which only add up to 41. And 41 is not 45, the secret, so that cannot be right. So in fact, 4, the digit 4, is not included in the cages within the green region. It is a single isolated cell. It's probably that one. But that's not logical. It might well be that one, but I don't know. Is it something to do with the count of the white cells up here? We've got 10 white cells to fill. But we've got quite a lot of potential regions to fill this white area, I think. We've got to have 4 orange cells. Maybe you can force this grey up a bit. Maybe that can't be orange. Let's try and make that orange and see if it breaks. If that's orange, 2, 3, then we've got another 3 oranges to put in to get orange up to 9. then we've got at least 3 more greens we could put in there. So we'd still have to have 3 reds. Can we have 3 reds over here? If we have 3 reds over there, we've got 6, 7, 8. No, you can't do that, but only just. Right. So this square here is part of a cage in the red region, which has 4 cells in it at least. So we've got 1, 2, and that means 2 of these 3 white cells are red. So one of these is yellow then. Oh no, that's not necessarily true, because you could have 3 reds here. Yeah, oh no, this is so confusing. That's okay, I've got to be very careful. But I still think what I was saying about this over here is true, because at least 2 of these 3 cells are red. That is just true, because I need to build this cage out to at least 4 cells to get to 30. Even if it was only 4 cells, it would be 9, 8, 7 and 6. And I can't have these in this galaxy, so I've got to take 2 of these 3 for red. So let's say I only take 2. Then I've got 5, 6, 7. So the maximum number of red cells I can put into the white area over here is 2. So I can put 2 reds. If this is orange, I can put 4 orange. So I need to put 4 greens to fill it. But I haven't got 4 greens spare. I've only got 3 greens spare, so that's not right. So that's not orange. And if that's not orange, does it have to be grey? Well, actually, let's pause that. If that's not orange, that is orange, because orange still needs to grow. And I don't think anything else can get here. We can't have green going over the top, and that's that's patently got to be grey. Okay. What does that mean? I don't think that can be grey. Now that might be wrong. That might be a ridiculous assertion. I'm just thinking about that for a second. The reason I don't think this can be grey is if it is grey, both of those are grey. And now orange, it seems to me, has to get to at least here. So those 2 have to be orange. And now that's only an 8 cell size region, isn't it? That's not, green hasn't got enough digits in it. So that digit is not grey. So what's that digit then? I think it might have to be orange, but I'm not certain. Let's try and make it green. We know it's not red, because red's only got 2 more cells up here it could possibly take. So if this is green, I then need to fill in 3 more orange cells, which would have to be those. Wow, that's going to work, isn't it, I think? So orange would look like this. And then green, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Green would look like that, and that works. I mean, it might. Oh no, it doesn't work but it's a very sophisticated reason that it doesn't work. We can't have this structure for this galaxy because the rotation of it's going to take us into yellow. Look, so it doesn't work. Okay, so this cell isn't green. That is orange then. Now, if that's orange, what's that mean? What does that mean for green? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for one of those, 8. So orange can't go too much further. Orange can't get to here. So does this have to be red? That would be quite a big deduction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think this does have to be red, which is really interesting. And the reason is, I'm just going to double check all my deductions here. That's 6 digits, that's 7. So I have to connect the 7 up, 8. I definitely can't get that with orange. Now, for this to be green, I've now got 7 green digits in the grid. So to connect this to this, I have to take this square, that's forced. And then I have to take either this or this square. But I still have to build a 4-cell galaxy here that is a legitimate galaxy that attaches this 25 that can be reflected on the other side of the dot. And I can't do it. Because if I take that square as my rotation, that rotates down the grid into this area. That's not going to work. If I take that square, we're back to this point again. So it just doesn't work. And that's really interesting because that means that's red, which means that's red because nothing can stop red being continuous. And now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've got 7 red cells. 2 of these more must be red, which means that's not red. That's huge. It's absolutely huge because I need 4 cells for my 30. So I need 2 of these 3. That's going to make my red quadrate. It's going to give it 9 cells. So that's got to be green, which means that's a 4. That's our first digit. Because we know that this galaxy, once we've built it, has to be 4 cells large. If it's 5 cells, we're breaking mathematics. So one of these 3 is yellow, 2 of them are red. Right, and if one of these is yellow, it's not that one, because then if it was, yellow wouldn't be continuous, because this cell wouldn't connect to these. So that is red, and that must be in the galaxy, because otherwise there's a problem with galaxy building. So that's the equivalent of that is that. So that's now in the green galaxy. I love this puzzle. This is absolutely brilliant. And now one of these, let's see, can we work out which one it is? No, we can't actually. It's one of these is definitely green. Okay, one of these is definitely green, so that must be orange. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so given that red is complete by whichever one of these is red, we can't make that one orange, or orange isn't connected, so we must make that one orange, we must make this one green, and that completes green and orange. It means that's grey. Now let's just fill all that in with our black line outlines. So we can draw that, we can draw that, we can draw that. We can think about how this moves in a moment. And we can, I mean, I've not even thought about the bottom of the grid yet. Let's try and maybe do that, shall we? Oh, Bob. Oh, no, hang on. No, I am right. Well, what I was about to say is that this 28 can't live in the bottom of the grid here. And that's true. So, I mean, the 9-cell region this cell is part of can't just inhabit that space, because if it did, this 26 would be too small. So that means this region has to take this square at least. So this is coming out of this bottom, this sort of southeast corner of the grid. So we're going to have to give this its own colour, and we will give it the colour of. Oh, I'm running out of the colours I love to use. I could use. I might have to start reusing colours. I could make this green again, because this green clearly can't touch this green. So this has got to come out. Now that's pushing this one to here. So this 28 galaxy now we know is doing that sort of thing, which means that the green galaxy definitely goes to here. So we're going to have to give this its own colour. We'll make this one orange, or will we? We could make it grey actually. Maybe grey is better, because grey, obviously it's not going to bump into this one. and these are definitely different. Ah, so what's the 17? Right, what's this 17 cleaving to? Because it's got to cleave to something. I think it has to be that one, doesn't it? It can't join to the 26 because of the dot. It can't join to the 29 because that would make 46. So it's joining to one of the 28s. Now if it joined to the bottom one here, that feels impossible. It can't do that, or this is too small. That's way more than 9 cells. I mean, it really can't do that, can it? I mean, actually, that's more than 9 cells anyway, so it doesn't do that. Right, so this is in fact blue, is what we've just worked out. And that's rather beautiful. So these two together are a complete region, in the sense that their galaxies add up to 45. So is that too many? 3, 6. That is too many. Okay, so I was wondering whether this cell had to be blue, and I think it does. Because if that cell is, say, grey, and blue's going to try and connect to this blue coming around the outside here, even if it does it with as much alacrity as it can, it reaches a 10-cell total. So that's definitely blue. Now, is that blue necessarily part of the 17 galaxy? The answer is probably yes. But is it necessarily yes? I think it is, because if this was part of the 28 galaxy, the rotation of that cell around the grid would be off the grid from this galaxy's perspective. So that is part of the 17 galaxy. Right, we'll use the grey line to do this. So we've got that going on, which means we can extend this grey cell to this point. How long have I had? 47 minutes. That has flown by. I love puzzles like this. I just get lost in them. Right, now, so what does that mean? So, and then we've got to go down here, obviously. Now this square, if that was, see if that's rotated around this point, that's going to be there, and that's more than achievable for this one, I think. So we don't know what that means. How many have we got here? We've got 5, 6, so 3 of these are grey. So, oh, so we can extend green. Right, sorry, this is fairly obvious. I've got 6 cells of grey, so I've got to give it 3 more. I don't know which 3 they are. I suspect, no, I don't know which. I think it probably has to include this one. But whichever way they are, 3 of these are now green, which gives us a count of 7 greens, so green has to come all the way to there. And in fact, that is its limit, in the sense that it can't go any further, because to go any further would leave a white cell here once we've finished the colouring, and that's not going to work. So I think we can actually, blacken that border. Now, so this galaxy here, yeah, the other thing we can do is that, because this galaxy can't come down there, because this galaxy can't go up there, so this is not in. I don't know what that means. Could we argue that I've got there's another black line I can draw there? Is that helpful? Maybe it's not actually. And apologies if you can immediately see how to do this. I'm just playing with options in my brain. I'm not sure how to do this. So maybe it's this white space I'm meant to think about. It's quite confusing because we've got quite a lot of additional stuff here that we've got to fill in. I know one of those is yellow, don't I? So I've got 6 yellows in the top of the grid in these 7 cells. These include 6 yellows. Right, so that cell's yellow. Because if this cell was not yellow, I haven't got enough space for all the yellows I need. Because whatever this is has to just has to go down the grid to join up, and that's going to allow me to have 2 yellows here, 1 yellow here, but that's only 8 yellows overall, so that's definitely yellow. So here's an interesting question which might not be right. But how could this cell, where my cursor is now, how could that be yellow? If that's yellow, those 2 have to be yellow. And now I've got 9 yellows, but I know one of these is yellow. So this is not yellow. This is something else, which means it's either grey or blue. Now, which one is it? If it's... Oh, well, it's definitely not blue. Because we know if it's blue, it's in a cage. And its rotation around this dot is here. And that's definitely not in the grey cage. So that's definitely, it is grey. And therefore grey must be continuous. So those are grey. And now I'm getting into bother. I suspect... 2, 3, 4, 5. That's now blue. Because, I mean, if I try not to have this as blue, I haven't got enough space for blue. I've only got 8 cells there, so that's blue. And that's got to be in a cage. But I don't know which one. Oh, that's beautiful. Right. Yes, this has to be in a cage. Now, what would happen if it was in the 17 cage? Well, then it would have to look like that, wouldn't it? It could be bigger than that, but it would have to look like that. And I've only got 3 cells left, my 28 cage. So that can't be true. So in fact, this one is in the blue cage. Which is great, because the reflection then is in the 28 cage. This had to grow by 3 more, so it's got to take those 2. This one's ambiguous. That must be green. Because this is already now of size 8. So we've got an ambiguity here. 2, 3. We don't quite know, do we? We're going to have to work out what this is doing. Okay, but this is beautiful, because now that cell can't be blue. Because if that was blue, it must be caged, and its rotation for this cage is there into grey, which it's not allowed to be. So in fact, this is fine. It's got to do that, and now to get blue to its requisite number of cage totals, everything's blue. And now we should be able to... Whoa, yeah. Well, hang on. Hang on. What does that mean? Well, now one thing I can see is that this is definitely part of the 17, which is those cells, isn't it? But this one is the one that's... Oh, no, it's not. It's not. It's beautiful. Again, it's beautiful selection of digits here. Right, sorry. These are grey. That's definitely... In fact, those are grey by force of nature. In fact, the grey is finished, which I hadn't realised at all. But that's fine. So that gives us double yellow up here. We've still got this ambiguity up at the top, but maybe we can... Oh, can we figure that out? Yeah, yes, we can. We can, because the only 4-cell cage I can build for the 25 here is that one. So it must be a T tetromino on the other side. And that's going to finish red. That's going to finish yellow, if I could do my colouring correctly. And now that is going to be there. That's there. And I think there is another point I noticed down here. Yes, this 28 cage includes a 2. So it still needs 26 more of digits. Now you can't do that in 3 more cells because again 9, 8 and 7 only add up to 24. So this needs to be a 5-cell cage, which means that we've got to do that. And the reflection of that is that, and that is so beautiful because that is the last that fills or determines the final breakup of these 2 cells. So that this is one of those occasions where even though this is a complicated puzzle, if I've got this wrong, I will be astonished because every deduction was so linear. It was so you could feel how carefully this has been put together. Right. So what do we do now? We can get rid of some of this Xing, I think. I think now it's an irregular Sudoku with a sort of killer Sudoku embedded in it. Now, how are we going to do that then? Perhaps that 28 cage, which hasn't got a 7 in it. So that's got to be 9856, I think. Because the way I'm getting that quickly, by the way, is I added 28 and 7 together, and they added up to 35, which I know is the maximum for a 5-cell total. So I know basically what I have to do is therefore take the maximum digits in Sudoku and leave out 7 in order to get the 28 cage filled. These squares are low. I will good lift them. That cell is now quite high. I will good lift that because it sees a 1, 2, 3, 4 quadruple. Ah, no, much easier. The 30 cage is 4 cells, so that's 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, you see that does make me think I meant to. This looks very interesting, doesn't it? Column 8's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Possible quintuple if we can get one more digit. Where's 7 in grey down here? It can't go in the column because there's already a 7 there. In fact, those squares. This is it, isn't it? Yes, well, it's something very interesting. I'm going to fill, right, the law of leftovers. These 3 digits have to appear in this grey cage somewhere. And we can see they can't repeat in their own column. So these 3 digits, whatever they turn out to be, are in these squares. Now, imagine one of these 2 was not a 7. Then these squares would be a sextuplet of digits 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. And that's not going to work. There are only 5 different digits in 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So there must be a 7 in here. And that is not a 7 for certain. But also, there is now a floating quintuple on 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Because whichever one of these is not 7 is 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5. And that's going to complete the quintuple. So this is not 5. Or 7 for that matter. So this is a 6, 8, 9 triple. Here and here. 6, 8 and 9 are in the 28 cage, but it's 5 cells. If it had been 4 cells, that would have been more interesting. What have we got here then? Oh no, sorry, I thought that might be in the purple cage, or the purple reflection. It's not. If that was low. Oh, that's so annoying. That could be a 4-5 pair, adding up to 9, which would allow this to be an 8-9 pair, which doesn't seem to be broken in the column. So it's not necessarily true that this is 7, which is what I thought that was going. These are 26. They don't have to include a 9 because you can do 9 with 876. Sorry, you can do 28 with 8765. That does add up to 28. 26. One is on the 17 cage here because again, it can't be on the 28 along with 2, otherwise the 3 remaining digits would add up to 25, and that can't be done. Bug, now I'm getting stuck. What about that 4? Is that doing something? That felt very deliberate that this was caused to be a 4. That means that's not a 4. Oh, we've got high digits in the rest of the top row, look. Including on a... Ah, hang on. Hang on, I've got a 6, 7, 8, 9 quadruple that I've never seen in row 2, the 7 of which is in these squares, so that's not a 7, otherwise 7 would repeat in red. So there is now a 7 in one of those positions, 7 in one of these positions. Right, that's mildly interesting, isn't it, for the green cage here, the 7 of which is now on the 16, or in the 16 cage. Now, that means the 3 other digits in this 16 cage have to add up to 9, and they aren't 2, 3, 4. So they're either 1, 3, 5 or 1, 2, 6, and they include, you've guessed it, a 1. 1, 3, 5 or 1, 2, 6. These digits are low, these digits are low. Let's just have a quick look at that. Is this, these aren't 1s, because I've just worked out 1 had to go here. So this is from 2, 3, 4 and 5. But I worked out that was either 1, 2, 6 or 1, 3, 5. So if this was 1, 3, 5, that would be a 2, 4. No, hang on. 4 is already gone. Hang on. This, well, that has, I think, done it, but I'm a bit sceptical about my logic there for a moment or two. That felt a bit iffy. And I've learnt over the years to just pause if that happens, because it might mean I've made a mistake. I mean, I'm very happy with these being low. I'm very happy on reflection to say these digits, therefore, are from 1, 2, 3 and 5. And I am, I think, happy to say there is a 1 on here. That is right, or it feels right. And therefore, these are from 2, 3, 5. And therefore, this can't be 1, 3, 5, 7, because both of those digits would be 2. So I think where we're going with this is that this is 1, 2, 6, 7. And now these don't include 2. So this is a 3, 5 pair. That's not a 6 anymore. And this square is the other of 8 or 9, that's that one. So that's an 8, 9 pair. And this 3, 5 is going to allow us to do some clearing things up, is it? Maybe. 29 can only have one more high digit on it, because lots of the high digits have been hypothecated to row 1. That's it. Right, it's this line, believe it or not. Okay, so it's this line combined with the fact that we've got 2 high digits not available to make 29. So what's the maximum? Let's say we did put 2 high digits on this 29 line. So what's the most they could be? Well, they could be an 8, 9 pair. But then we've got 3 digits left, which have to add up to 12, because 8 and 9 are 17, not including any high digits. They have to be 5, 4 and 3. Oh, this is beautiful. So that's a 4. That has to be a 4. It's all it can be. This hasn't got... This has got 8 and 9 and 5 and 3 on it. So these 2 squares are a 6, 7 pair. Oh, these 2. Oh, maybe that was the way to do this more straightforwardly, was to say that where do 1 and 2 go in this box, and they could never have gone on the 29 line. So this is a 1, 2 pair. I mean, they couldn't have gone on it once that could only have had 2 high digits on it. So 1 and 2 are in these squares. They can't both go on the 26 arrow. 2 is in one of those squares. I don't want to do it. I don't want to put it in the middle. I want to put it in the sides. 1 actually, yeah. Where's 1 in the grey region? 1 can't go on the 26 cage because the other 3 digits would be 25 again. So that's 1, that's 2. That's not 2 anymore. Where's 1 in the 20? 1 is in one of those squares in green at the bottom, and that's in a 28 cage. So the other digits add up to 27. Sort of feels important, doesn't it? But I can't see immediately how to make use of that. I've got a lot of pencil marks going on, which I never am a fan of. 22. If this has got 2 on it, the other 3 digits are 7, 8 and 9, aren't they? Which is probably important. He says, trying to work out what that means. Don't know. That's not 7. 7 is in one of these. 7 is in one of those. Is it going to be... I don't know. I don't know where I'm meant to look now. I think we're doing okay though. I think it's just going to be waiting for inspiration to strike. Which means, well, here's a simple deduction. Where's 6 in that grey region? And the answer is I don't know, but it's definitely in column 1 somewhere. So that means that's a 7. That's a 6, which, that's doing some 6 removal from some cells. 7 is placed in the grey region back here. We get an 8, 9 pair bobbins, which doesn't do anything. The other squares here, therefore, are 3, 4, 5 and 6. Now, can we get any triples or anything going along any of these rows? Maybe not, actually. Maybe not. I don't know. What do we do now? What do we have to put in there? We have to put in lots of quite high digits, don't we? They have to add up to 26. But we didn't think they needed to have... We didn't think they needed to have a 9 in them. They were 6, 5. 15. Yeah, 6, 5, 7, 8 works. Okay, so we can't do it like that. What about... Okay, 1 is not in those squares because of this 1 down here. So 1 is in one of those 2 cells. 2, 3, 5. Where is 6 in this column? I don't know the answer, but it's definitely in one of 2 places. So now on this 17 line, I've got 7's worth of digits in 2 cells because I've got 1 and 6, and the other 2 digits have to add up to 10, and they can't be 1, 9, 2, 8 or 4, 6, so they're 3, 7. That's good because that means this is a 1, 7 pair and this is a 3, 6 pair, and that means, well, that means I can place 3 in this cage here. I can get rid of 7 from this digit. Oh, my phone's buzzing at me. Okay, that's fine. That's just my friend responding to a birthday message. So I've got a 6, 7 pair here now. And for our next... Well, now we must know what this line is, mustn't we? This line is made up of 4, 5, 8 and 9. Now, does that actually add up to the right number? That's 26 plus 2 is 28. Yes, it does. Good. But... all right. So here's a little deduction. That digit, where does that go in the blue cage? And the answer is, again, I still don't have a clue. It's not in these squares, is it? So this digit is in one of those two squares. Now that means that between this domino and that cell there is an 8-9 pair in row 8, which means that little square is a 6. And we will take small gifts wherever we can find them. In fact, here's another thought. These two digits now don't have a very high maximum total, because these two digits can't be 6, 7 or 8, 9, which we know are in two of these three squares. So the maximum size of those squares is a 1-5 pair, which means the maximum size of those three squares is 12. Now what is the total for this? So the minimum size for these two squares is 16. So that, well, this is either a 7-9 or an 8-9 pair, which feels important, doesn't it? So that's got to be 7, 8 or 9. One of these is definitely a 9. I'm going to record that as well in case that's helpful. Can we do any better? I'm not sure. Oh. Well, that digit is quite restricted in purple, because the logic that gave us an 8-9 pair in this domino also gives us an 8-9 pair in this domino, because this digit must be in there. And that means these squares don't include 8 and 9, and whatever that digit is can't go in there. So that digit is either here or here in the in the purple cage. Not sure if we can do anything with that. Not sure. Okay, so we've got to think again. And the way we're going to think this time is to argue about... Oh, I don't know. Is this in any way obvious? I've got quite a lot of low digits. No, I don't actually. I thought for a moment I had low digits filling in column 7, but I don't think that's right. What we could do instead of that is... Come on, Simon. Don't know. Well, okay, I'm going to tidy up that pencil mark. That can't be a 3. Has that helped? No, not at all. 1, 2, 4, 6, 7 here. 1, 2, 4, 6, 7. No, I don't like that line of thinking either. Is it... I don't know what it is. I haven't got a clue. These don't include 8 and 9. I feel like these two digits have the most pressure on them in the puzzle. One of those is a 1. Can I do something with that? Does there have to be a 1 somewhere else? Or can we do something with this being 1, 2, 3 and 4? Not really, at least I don't think we can. Or, see, if that's 7, that's 7. I know there's a 7 in here, there's a 7 in here, there's a 7 in here, there's a 7 in here. So 7 in purple is really restricted then. But 7 in purple is in one of these 3 squares. And that looks actually bizarrely like it's going to work. Okay, so we can't disprove that. We could argue about 7 can't go there. 7 is nearly completely restricted in row 5, actually, because it can't go here. So it's either there or there. It's in one of those cells for absolute certain. But I don't think we can rule it out of this one. I'd love to be able to rule it out of this one. If that was 7, would that help me? It might actually help more if it was there, because then it would be there and then it would be there. And that would put pressure on this 26 cage. I've not thought at all about the 22 and the 23, but they just seem so average. 5 cells adding to 23. I mean, it would be helpful if you knew where the 1 was, I suppose, or where the 9 was. But without knowing that, I'm not sure you can do very much. Maybe I've got to pencil mark this column, because effectively I have got 5 digits in it. It's 4s, 5s, 8s and 9s to place. You see that square? Oh, there you go. Wow. That's a 5, 8 or a 9. And by Sudoku, that gives me a triple in row 3. So we'll come back and look at that in a second. That digit is 4, 5, 8 or 9. Now it's definitely not 9, because I know there's a 9 in one of these squares. Okay, let's have a look at this, that 5, 8, 9 triple. So now in this row we've not put in 1s, 2s, 3s and 6s. So that's 1, 2, 3 and 6, but that's useless. Bother. Did it matter this was a 6? No, I don't think so. Can't see that. I think this is a 28, yeah, because maybe that's the way to remember it. These two are the same. So when I put the 1 in, it sort of makes this look like 23. I've just got to look at this cell, because that is giving the correct total for this one as well. Okay, 9, 27, 28, that's okay. There's no reason this can't be a 9-8 pair, is there? Don't think there would be. That would be 23. These would have to be a 1-4 pair. And that would make that cell a 3, I think, in the row. Oh, well, maybe that's an interesting question. I mean, it's a weird question, but where is 3 in this row? I don't think it can be in here, can it? Because these would add up to 10 and this would have to add up to 18. So there's no 3 here. There doesn't seem to be any 3s there. So that is a 3. That's out of absolutely nowhere. Now, does it do anything? No. I don't think it does. I think that literally does nothing. These squares are from 1, 4 and 5. If it's a 1-4 pair, this is an 8-9 pair. 1, 4, 8, 9. Oh, is that something? 1, 4, 8, 9. That would be a 5. That would be an 8, 9. That would be a 4. Lots of things would flow. But whether any of them are actually any use or not, I'm not sure. Okay, so we're going to have to think again. Maybe. Okay, we know this was a quadruple, don't we? Yeah, that's a mildly interesting point. This is a 1, 2, 3, 4 quadruple. So the 3 and the 4 in that quadruple are in this triple. So that's not a 3 or a 4. And these don't include 4. So these are coming down slowly but steadily. 1s, 2s, 5s and 7s. Depending on what this digit is. But that one could be a 4 if that's a 4. Does that somehow make a difference? Or am I just not understanding something? Not sure. How long have I had? Hour and 20 minutes. Okay, that doesn't feel too bad. some people who've written to us about this puzzle say that it is very, very difficult. I mean, that might mean it's very difficult from now, but you know, I was anticipating this might be a sort of 2-hour video, and that feels about right. Now, what are we going to do next? How are we going to fill this in? What's the obvious win that we're going to be able to earn for ourselves here? That is a good question. Don't know. There's a 6 in one of these 2 squares in row 3. That doesn't feel interesting. Is it something to do? So whatever this digit is. I also keep wanting to view these white dots as Kropke dots and make digits across them consecutive, 5, 6, for example, but that's not right. At least if it does turn out to be right, it would be by accident. 5 is in one of these. Again, I don't think that's particularly important. This is a 6-7 pair. Maybe it is something to do with this again. What was I thinking? I was thinking that if this didn't have 7 on it, it would have to be a 4-5 pair. That's what I was thinking. And if that's true, see if that's 5. I don't like that as a... You see, if there's a 5 in one of these 2 squares, this digit is a 1 or a 2. That must be right, mustn't it? So if either of these is 5, is what I'm saying, this is definitely a 1 or a 2, and that digit must appear in here somewhere. So it's going to be there. So these are the same digit, which is a 1 or a 2, and that digit has to appear in the grey set. So that digit would have to go exactly equal to there, which is in a very, very awkward place, because that is on a 26 sum. So this definitely can't be 5, because you can't put 1 or 2 here and make this add up to 26 then. That's not going to work. But annoyingly, if this was 7 and this was 2, that could be an 8-9 pair. And that might work. So that could be 5, I think. It's quite awkward, but so what do we actually get from that then? We limit this cell in a pretty useless way. If we could eliminate the possibility of this being an 8-9 pair, that would be very handy, because that would probably make this a 7, make that a 7. Which probably does something. I'm not sure what. What else were we doing down here? We were saying if this was 22, these have to be a 5-1 pair. This would be 4, 8, and 9, so this would be 5, 8, and 9. So 5 would be in this domino. That wouldn't be 5 then. That wouldn't be 5 then. I know one of these is a 4. In fact, I know one of those 2 is a 4 because there's a 4 here. I know one of these two is a 3 because of the 3 here. Can we earn any spurs by thinking about that? I don't think so. Not sure. Right, we've now ground to an almighty halt. I don't know where to look. I think this is probably my fault though, because everything up to this point has been relatively a relatively straight, not straightforward, that's totally the wrong word, but it's been findable. You know, it's not been, there's been no step that's been unfair at all. So it's really going to be, it's for me to think the right thought here, rather than the puzzle being, I think, unfairly hard. Okay, where are 2 and 3 in this box? And they've got to be in those squares, don't they? And that means we don't get a 3 in this corner, or this corner, or this corner. Now I see this 3 here. So there are no 3s in the corner in the puzzle. This is 4, 5, or 6. There's a 3. Okay, so 3 in this box is in one of those 2 cells. And 3 in this box is in one of those 2 cells. So this can't be 3 anymore. It would be because in this row and this row, there are 2 3s altogether if we complete the puzzle properly. Yet in those 2 dominoes, in this domino and this domino, there's 1 3 in each of these positions. So that means this is not a 3, and that means that is a 3, which means that's not a 3. And don't tell me that's going to do diddly, I think. I think it's going to do diddly. Horrible feeling that's doing diddly. Okay, 3 is now in one of those squares in the purple region, but that's also not doing anything clever. Can we improve upon this somehow? Doubt it, actually. 3 is in one of those 3 squares. 3 is in one of these 3 squares. 3 is in one of these 3 squares. Can we improve upon that at all? I don't think so. I wonder if we have to... No, I don't know. I don't know what we have to do. It's very, very troubling indeed. Is there a reason? Yeah, it'd be an interesting thought. Is there a reason that can't be 8, 9? I mean, it would knock this square out from being 8, 9. If this was an 8, 9 pair, is that doing something peculiar in any way? This would be an 8, 9 pair. There's an 8, 9 pair here, an 8, 9 here. I do wonder whether we have to colour the 8s and 9s. I might just have a quick go at that, just to see whether there's anything immediately obvious. Now to do that, I'm going to change the colour of yellow, I think, to light green, and then I can colour that one yellow, and I'll make this one black, and let's see if that goes anywhere. So that's now a black, that's now a yellow, that's now a yellow, and one of these is the black 8 or 9, but we don't know which. Is that literally? No, that's yellow as well. Okay, that's a small extension of the logic. Can we get that going into these 2? That might be the place we have to really figure this out. Yeah, there are these virtual 8, 9 triples, aren't there? Is that somehow critical? Is it critical? To quote StarCraft 2. Don't know. It feels close, that, actually, but I can't see how to use it. It's very close to giving me a yellow digit in the 23 part of the purple region, but it's not quite good enough. I know one of these digits is a black digit, but I don't know it's this one, so I don't know that this can't be the black digit. What digit is this? This is a 22 sum that's got a 3 in it, so these add up to 19. which means they do have to have an 8 or a 9 in them. And they can't write. Okay, they've only got one of them. Here's a mildly interesting point, because if this 22 sum did have both 8 and 9 on it, then one of them would have to be in this section of the line, and we know that this one is in there, and that means there is a virtual 8-9 pair in row 7 preventing that from happening. So there is exactly one 8 or 9 on this line, and because there's a triple here, we know it's there, which is we still don't know what colour it is, but that is true. And so now this line does have an 8 or a 9 on it, but it could still be here. And we don't know that this is black, even though it probably is, because there's no 8s and 9s. Well, there's none of that digit on there or there. So one of these two squares is the black 8 or 9. How can we prove which way round that is? Is there a way? Yes, there probably is, but I don't know what it is. So, so I'm wondering if we can we do something cleverer with this line now. If we know we've got 2 digits on it that add up to a maximum of 12, the other 2 digits have to add up to at least 10. I don't think this line can have a 1 on it, which is not going to do anything. Because if it's got 1 and 4, the other 2 digits would have to add up to 18, which doesn't work. So there is a 1 in one of these 4 squares. And look, it does nothing. It's so rotten. Okay, could we put 2? No, have we got the same problem with 2, haven't we? If we put 2 in here, then we do need another 8 and 9, so there's a 2 in here as well. Now that's a little better. That knocks 2 out of this square. So 2 is now in this domino, and 2, it doesn't help. It doesn't help. Wow. Okay. All right. So that digit, which is 6 or 7, that can't go in this square. So this digit is on this line and is accompanying 3 and either 8 or 9. So, okay, what does that mean? It means the minimum value of the 3 digits that we know are on this line, the minimum value is 3, 6 and 8, which is 17. So the maximum value of the other digit is 5. So it's got 5 or 4 on it. Now, is there a way we can claim one of those is impossible? Well, the fact this has got 5 or 4 on it in these 3 squares, and this domino must have a 4 or a 5 in it, because it can't be an 8-9 pair, because that will break this cell, means there is a floating 4-5 pair between those 5 cells. That means that is not a 5. And if that is not a 5, didn't that do something in this column? Well, yes, it does. It places 5 in the column. It's there. Okay. So now this can't be a 5. Because the only way that could have been a 5 was if that was a 5, so that's not a 5. And surely now, if this is not 7, the maximum value of these 2 squares is now 4 and 2, which is 6, which cannot work. So we have got the 7 here. Wow, that was hard. So that's 7, 1. Oh, okay, that's fine still. That's still fine. We get 7, 1 here. That's not 1. Okay, please do something more than that. That's really, really unfair if you're not going to do anything for me. Come on. Come on. 4, 5. This is... Come on. Okay. I don't know if what I'm going to get from this. Maybe nothing. I do know one of these is a 1 now, but I don't think there's a way to tell which one. It'd be lovely to know. I mean, if that's a 2, that's 9. This is an 8-9 pair. That's option 1. If this is 2, this is a 1-2 pair. This is an 8-9 pair. But if this is 4, that gives us 11 here. And these have to add up to 15 without using 7, which would make them 6 and 9. So there is definitely a 9 in here. And, well, okay, and remember this line. This is beautiful. Good grief, this is it. We've finally got somewhere, I think, because now these 3 we know contained a virtual 8-9 pair, which means that square can't be 8 or 9, so that's a 6. And if that's a 6, that's a 9 by the mathematics, and that is 15, which means that needs to be 4, which means that needs to be 4, that needs to be 1. 4 comes out of 2 cells at the top. And can we do magic with this? Maybe, maybe. Come on, Simon. Let's be I'm going to be quite slow and methodical here, because this feels like a breakthrough. That's an 8, apparently. So that takes 8 out of there, 8 out of there, 8 out of here. That's a 3, 5, 6 triple. So I've not put 2 into this row, so I can now do that. That takes 2 out of that square. And for our sins, we're going to earn... What are we going to earn from this? We're going to earn that... I don't know. Maybe I'm going to fill in these squares 2, 5 and 8 into these positions and hope that something crosses them off. Oh no, really? That's jolly rotten. This is a 1 now, so I can use that. That's a 1 and that's a 2. Which means this is a 6 of all things. So that's a 2. That could be good. That gives me a 1, 6, 7 triple. So that's not 1. That's not 6. But this 1, 6, 7 must do a little bit more, surely. Maybe. That's not 1. This is a 2, 4 pair. That's not going to do it, is it? 1, 6, 7. I don't know. We worked out there was a 4 or a 5 on this line, didn't we? Along with what digit was it? Ah, yeah, the 6 and the 7. Yes, okay. So there is now definitely a 7 down here, which is it's not doing anything. Well, it tells us the last digit now. So we've got 10, 18. I can't see what that is hiding behind that. 18, so I need a 4. So this is in fact 3, 4, 7, which means there's no 4 here, which means there is definitely a 5 here, which means there's definitely not a 5 here, which means the 5 in this row is in this domino along with the 1, so this becomes a 1, 5 pair. Now what does that do to these digits? We've now got 12. We need another 16. So this is 7, 9, and that's great because that's got to be the 7, that's got to be the 9. And then we get, okay, so now we know the nature of the black 8, 9 digit, which is that one. So then these are all 9s. This is a 5, 8 pair, that's not 9. Okay, this is exciting now. This is exciting. It wasn't easy. I've no idea whether there was a better way of disambiguating all of this stuff at the bottom, but we earned our spurs and managed to do it, didn't we? So, okay, what could we do now? We've got 4, 8, 9, 5, 8, 9, 3, 4, 7. So we do know now. Oh, we've got 8 in this box now, so that's got to be a 5. So this 5 is taking care of that digit, so that's become a 4. And that's now a 2, and that's a 4. So this is not a 2. But in this row, we've not put in 8 and 9 at all. So we can do that now. So that's 8, that's 9, that's 1. We get left with a 2, 5 pair. And let's check the maths on this box. 12, 23, beautiful. That's lovely, isn't it? That's working. Let's rule 9 out of these squares by. Oh, and 8. Oh, well, that does some things. So that's a 4, 5 pair, which means that's 9 and that's 8. That's 8 and that's 9. And that's probably going to be useful, he says, trying to see why. Where is 2 in this row? You see, it's questions like that I just wouldn't have thought to ask, but maybe that's been available for ages. It's got to go there. 2 and 5 and 6. That leaves a 3, 5 pair over here. This must be resolved, isn't it? That's not 9. That's not 6. So this is 5. Ah, that's a 5. Okay, so that's a 6. This is an 8. That's a 9. This column is finished, isn't it? I haven't put 4 into it, so I've got to put 4 in. So these digits down here are 2, 3 and 8. And the only place 8 can go is here. Now 2 goes here, and this is 3. Now, I do not want any devious trickery. I am very happy if this puzzle now solves, which I hope it will. Is this done, this column? 1, 3, yeah, that's a 3. And that does do the 3 and the 5, look, so that's 3, that's 5, that's 5, that's 1, that's 6. 1, 7 pair, the 4, 7 pair is done. So that's 7, that's 1, that's 1, that's 3. We've still got some stuff to do over here. 5, 3, 3, 6. Okay, that might be the solution. Let's click tick. Oh, it was 1 hour and 42 minutes. That was brilliant. My goodness me. That flew by, really. I mean, I got a bit stuck in the irregular Sudoku at the end. But everything up to that point was so crisp. I'm not saying I was crisp in solving. I just found the logic very natural. I could follow it quite fluidly. I'd love to know if there was a rinky-dink I could have done at the end there that would have... I mean, to be honest, though, what I found was beautiful. The sort of ideas of around the 4 5s and where they all had to go and fit together. And it was lovely once I found it. It was just, it felt harder to me than some of the earlier points, but that is a heck of a debut. Tacosian. Well, take a bow, my friend. That is an incredible puzzle. Absolutely deserving of its 100% Galactic Union indeed. We have, I think even the Star Trek fans and the Star Wars fans would be able to agree that this is a uniting puzzle of galactic proportions. Loved it. Let me know in the comments how you got on with it. I enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind, and we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.